And now, ladies and gentlemen, the icing on the cake. We couldn't have a much better example of what Working Women Week stands for than the 4 representatives of our round table. Powerful women who are also entrepreneurs. These women are going to talk to us about how female leadership has handled time of pandemics. Another wonderful and powerful entrepreneur is going to be Anna, our moderator. And I'm going to read about Anna because I cannot remember all of it, okay? So let's see. Anna is director of Ashoka Partnership and also runs Ashoka's Barcelona office. Her work consists of co-creating alliances between the private sector and social entrepreneurs to help both parties to generate greater and better impact, thus promoting the entrepreneurship and social innovation in Spain. In the context of the pandemic, Anna founded and directs now the Period Spain Association, a non-profit association that aims to eradicate poverty and menstrual stigma, a result of structural gender inequality. So we would please say hello to Anna, and Anna's going to lead the rest of the event. Thank you.
Okay, a ver esto. Okay. Well, hello everyone. Nice to meet you. And thank you all for your vulnerability, particularly Josie and everyone that came afterwards. It's very nice and very emotional to start an event after so many months that we've been locked down. I was looking at each of you that you were coming all dressed up, and I was like, oh, I've not seen so many people dressed up out of pajamas and something on top that looks nice for a long time. So thank you for taking the time to put yourselves all beautiful. So, and for the introduction and a bit of myself, as each and every one of you have explained, I work at Ashoka Foundation, and I also created this little association to end period poverty that is a challenge that was enlightening during the pandemic, that before we didn't know what even was, and that we are working very hard these days to eradicate it with the administration and to help them know what they can do to make an end on it. But I come here as Ashoka. Ashoka, for you to know, it's an American NGO, headquarters in Washington, that works to identify and support social entrepreneurs that are leading systemic change solutions to end one of the most urgent topics on earth that are impacting millions of people around the world. We have an office here in Spain since 15 years ago, an office here in Barcelona since 4 years ago, and we are constantly looking for these novel peace social innovators that are leading the way to a new world that we need to create for a scenario with more justice and more equality and more opportunities for everyone. So I don't want to take more time, and I'll go straight to introduce the super 4 rock stars that we have on stage today. I will be introducing each and every one of you, and please, when I introduce yourself, if you can come up to the stage and have your seat. And I'm sorry that I don't have a bio that has fun facts and that has wonderful stories, as you all have explained, your niece, your husband, but well, we'll let that for another edition because it would be very nice. So Marifai, which she wins the award on dressing up today, I have to say. She looks beautiful. She was working as a street vendor for 4 years when she moved to Spain. She was one of the co-founders and currently is president and head of administration of the cooperative, which aims to integrate, help and regulate help regulate migrants in a situation of socioeconomic vulnerability. Marie is currently studying in Barcelona a degree in business management. And before moving to Spain, Marie was a student in law and political science in Paris. So welcome, Marie. Gemma Cernuda is the founder of ellasdeciden.com, the first female communication agency in Spain, becoming the first marketing to women consultant in the country. She has created brands such as Congelados La Sirena. She is the president and board of directors of Asociación de Inversiones. She is the author of Gender Filter, Method of the Decalogue of Female Communication, She Banking. Well, you need to check her website, Ellas Deciden, because she's done many amazing things for the feminist cause, and that you need to check her out. She co-directs Barcelona Dona y Sport Forum, the Women's Z Festival. She has a master in communication management from the Universitat de Barcelona with executive courses at the Columbia Business School in New York City and UCLA. And she's a professor in the Master of Strategic Planning at Autónoma Barcelona, and she's also in the board of directors of Fundación Aret, that is a wonderful NGO that works here in Barcelona to integrate women into the labor market. So thank you, Gemma, for being here. Sorry that I'm not seeing you. Maria Fatima, here, yeah, Maria. With a PhD in computational chemistry and over 20 years of experience in protein science, Maria Fatima Lucas is co-founder and CEO of Zimvol, a biotech startup specialized in the design and development of enzymes through the use of computer simulations. Wow. In 2020, she was one of the winners, we can tell, of the EU Prize for Women Innovators, awarded by the European Commission. Zimbo is her commitment to democratize the use of green chemistry in the industry. Welcome, Maria Fatima. And last but not least, Anne-Laure Gandara has lived and worked in different countries in Europe and the United States. She started her career in the field of marketing and innovation in multinational companies, and for 15 years, she developed skills in strategy, leadership, and project management. She decided to start coaching training 10 years ago, and after earning her certificate by the ICF, she founded ALG, Coaching and Mentoring. With this project, she helps entrepreneurs and startups to define and optimize their strategy in order to improve their business performance quickly. She assists also professionals for career development and vocational guidance. Welcome, Anne-Laure. So I'll go on stage, and I think we have to move these. Great. Thank you, everyone. Or you cannot, right? You can? You can, great. No? There, no. A ver, ¿sí? Vale, dice que sí. Vale, pues hablo más fuerte. Perfecto. So, first question to you, Marie. So, as we know, the pandemic has hit everyone, but particularly harder for those with most vulnerable conditions. In your experience during this pandemic, how did the OMCOP cooperative help them get through this hard time and make the most out of it?
First of all, thank you for the invitation of this important Women Working Week, and it's an honor for us to be here today. It's been a while. I didn't speak English, so I hope that what I say, what I can convey, my message to all of you. And my name is Marifai, and I am the president of JOMCOP, with a cooperative who was found 4 years ago. 4 years ago. Before that, I was a street seller in the city. At the same time, I was a student in economics in Universidad of Barcelona, and without purpose. And we know that to the immigrant collective, all the community of the immigrant here, the things we have more to look about is like to have purpose. And during this pandemic, it was worst. But also people who can't have papers couldn't have jobs, couldn't have, and the one who have paper too have lost their jobs. And more like the immigrant population was the worst in this case in the pandemic, because most of them have the make doesn't work. What is this, all them make like street selling or cleaning house, being clean washer in the restaurant, etc., etc. It was like that. And with the pandemic, you can go out, you can work, you can make anything. Basically, you don't have access to all the aids with the government, and we know that in this time that we have to go to these people. We have not only our community, but all the people in general in Barcelona. We don't have access in the government. We
Wanted to find them.
yeah, we have to go to them to make, because not only the community, but we work with people who have difficulties of life, who have addiction, or who have many special problems, and we continue to work with them in this pandemic. And we was to making the cleaning in the city when most of the people wouldn't or couldn't go out to make this type of works. We have to do it in this time though. We have to access as these people to foods. We produce food, we produce more than 300 menus and for day, during 4 months to make them access these people to have that.
To secure their food
Yeah.
during these times.
Yeah, because you can work. But we want to make them access to food, basic needs, and all of that. We was always in the street. We was always in this community to tell them what you need, what you want, and making sure that they was not forgotten in these times. I don't know if I explained it well, but
Very good. It was very clear. So basically, you had to increase the support you were giving, support that you were already giving because the need was already in Barcelona, but in those particular times, it was harder and there were more basic needs that needed to be covered, and that you managed to organize the cooperative so that you could support. So yeah, we got everything. You can relax.
exactly.
Great. Okay, so Gemma.
Yes.
There was an article, I don't know if some of you read it, that countries that succeeded better at managing COVID situation were countries led by women, which we may say that we are not surprised by so. Well, I'm not, at least. We can discuss about that later on if you want. And as an expert and founder of Ellas Deciden, what has been the impact in your business? And particularly, do you think that brands will become more feminist after this crisis?
I love this question. Thank you for inviting me, all of you, especially Josie and Victor, that I know that you have been really active in having a local one in the table. Well, Anna is also local, but you know, two local ones. Thank you for inviting me. Yes. Let's see. I think that the situation, the pandemic, has forced to go to the basics somehow and to think what is really important and what is superfluous and not that important, I think. And maybe that brings us to be more activist in things that we feel are important for us, being racism, being feminism, being equalitarianism, being whatever we think it is. And from my work and my job and what we do at Ellas Deciden, I have found and proved in a way that yes, that brands are more brave. Let's say, what does brave mean? Brave means that they have to be hard and consequent and really serious, strategically serious about values. And if they do it really because they are this way, not because it's makeup, they will have business and they will survive in the market. If not, they will not. Let me give you some data, because I know that in terms of what I do, which is branding with a gender view, we need data to convince brands to be more activist in feminism, in my case. I don't know if you knew, but you will know from now that the 80% of the purchasing power is made by?
No.
Yes. Ariadna, you know it. And that, you say 80%, of course it looks a big number, but you don't imagine how big it is. Okay, it's like the economies and India and China all together. That's the 80%. And it's funny because when they tell me, oh, I did something wrong with the micro. Sorry. When they tell me, oh, so you work in the niche, in the women niche, I say, the niche, no. 80% is the full, I was going to say another word, it's the full market, come on. So 80%, you will remember this number from now on all your life, I know. Some more data, 70, which is also quite a lot, 70% of women, we don't feel connected with advertising. We don't like what brands tell us, okay? There is a big research made by Havas Media, which is a big communication company, Havas Media, and they say that only 30% of the brands that we already buy today, that if we go to Gloria's now, we will see 30, which is 3 out of 10, only 30% of the brands we know today, we buy today, will be alive, will be in the market in 10 years from now. Okay. Yes. What does that mean? It means that we have to be we have to be truthful, we have to be brave, we have to be activists. There is only one way, we have to be activists. And so we have no time to be, to wear makeup. We have to really, yes, as a brand, of course we have to, if we want to, okay? But you know what I mean when I say makeup. And I actually have an example of making up in brands. So 80% of the purchasing power, 70% of brands we don't connect with as in the advertising message. 30% of brands will be in the market in 10 years, only 30% of them. So we have to really be activists in branding, and the pandemic has forced us in a way to be more authentic, I would say, no? To be more doing what we really are meant to do. We did a research at Ellas Deciden called Activist Branding. You can download it in the website, as Anna said before, ellasdeciden.com, and it's called Activist Branding. And the three things, and actually it's good for you as a shock analysis. The three things, mainly women, but let's say the whole people that answer the questionnaire, are willing to help are global warming, health, and feminism. So if you have brands, projects, or things that go one of those three things, those are the things we want to really help. And we even get one step further, and if we have two waters, okay? And one is doing research on, I don't know, cancer, and the other is not doing nothing. We are willing to pay 7% more, not 25, but 7% more to the one who is doing something with a positive impact in our society. So that's the only way of doing things. It's not the future, it's the present.
70% more. That's
7, no,
I
7.
was like,
So imagine,
wow,
yes, 7% now. Oh, let's
was
say,
really hopeful.
dream big. No, 7%.
I was in shock.
Which is good,
Yeah,
7% more. So
Yes,
we
yes,
have
yes.
two products and you can pay 7% more, but it has to be true.
Yeah.
So, you have a question already? I don't know.
I think we will do questions after we finish,
Okay.
but thank you.
So I just
Keep it
wanted
up.
to give you those numbers, and I think it's very important as a consumer. Of course, we do in my agency. We do feminist branding and this activist branding with a gender lens. But I think we as women, men of course as well. But in this week we have to promote the empower women, and we as women, we are change makers, and we have power, we have money, we make money, we make things happen. It doesn't care who is going to pay the bill, but if I don't like the car is not being sold, okay? So we have power. We have to really empower ourselves in the business, and we have to help those positive impact brands to grow and to really be successful. So I would say that there is a really big thing that we have to question the status quo all the time. No? So, and in terms of business, I always have this metaphor. So if the one who designs the product, imagine a fuel, right? Funnel. The one who thinks about the product, designs the product, manufactures the product, makes the marketing company, sells the product, thinks about the distribution strategy, and does the social media are men. And the other side of the tunnel, who is buying is women. Come on, it's a business thing. I'm not talking about inclusion now, it's business. So we are doing something wrong. So really, we have to rethink all that, because if on the other side of the tunnel there are women buying, we have to put the female side, the female opinion, the female thinking, women, all the steps. It's that easy. It's that difficult as well, but it's that easy.
Yeah.
So
and probably on our side is we need to try to change our consuming habits, no?
Of
like
course.
try to
Of course,
buy
Anna. Yes.
and buy things made
of
by
course,
women.
because
So
we,
that's-
yes, thank you, because we decide if we want to be part of the problem or part of the solution. That easy. And every dollar counts, every dollar counts. I be quiet now.
Thank you
Yes,
very
because
much.
I get passionate, I like what I do. And I get passionate, and I have so many, examples and data and things that I every day see some campaign or something that I think, how can they dare to do that? Come on. Like pink because it's for girls, come on, give me a break. No? So yes, we'll have questions later if you want to.
Thank you, because we could talk, well, I
Yes.
could talk hours about this,
I
so
know.
thank you very much.
Gracias.
So, Anne-Laure, welcome. And for you, how has this pandemic been? And as a coach particularly, how have you been able to help entrepreneurs to see this situation as an opportunity and not only as a crisis for all of them? How have you changed this mindset and empowered others?
Well, first, Thank you for inviting me. And when you offer me the possibility to think about that, to how all the entrepreneurs are working with, were living the pandemics and the consequences, I was thinking, okay, let's make a step over. I'm with them for crazy months, working with them hand by hand with entrepreneurs. So let's have a step back and think about what do you think it could be the first word would come in your mind. And I would say, hurry up. It was like, pandemic, hurry up. And all my clients, the entrepreneurs were like, okay, we have to adjust, we have to adapt ourselves, we have to find a new way of thinking, a new way of working, a new way of managing people, a new way of reinvent our business model. And I think after that, the second word would be harder. Because of this urgency to adapt the business model, the way of working for entrepreneurs, I think with all of my clients, not a one would tell you, oh yeah, thanks God, with the lockdown, I could rest home and watch TV. Not even one of them would say that, because for entrepreneurs, even if the business was going down, the activity for them to adjust the business was incredible. And most of them were working so hard, day and night. And I would say, hurry up. I would say, work harder. And I would say, worries. We cannot say it was just opportunities. We're going to talk about that after, but we have to be honest. And it was worries, and I tried to figure out and to think, okay, what was the main worries I had to manage with them during these pandemics? And the first one was how to be sure my employees will be okay. How I can be sure my employees will have still wellness and happiness at work. We all know as entrepreneurs how much is important the happiness at work. Because if my employees, if the people I work with are happy, they will be more motivated, they will be more committed, they will be more efficient and more professional. So we all know now the importance of the happiness of the people who are working with. So it was difficult for them, and we had to work on new skills to maintain the motivation for the teams. Working remote also was more complicated for the team building, team spirit, value of the company. So it was kind of big worries for the entrepreneurs. The second one would be, of course, my God, Anne-Laure has helped me. We have to find new opportunity, new business opportunity, because the market is going down. I have clients or consumers who disappeared overnight, and I have to find new way of finding new researches, new way of working, new clients, and new way of thinking of my business. And the third main worries, I think it would be how can I manage my cash flow, of course. So from this part, my first conclusion of working with them would be, hurry up, we have to adapt ourselves, we have to work harder, and we are worried for our employees, for finding new business and cash flow. But I wanted to share with you the other part of my conclusion and my step back. It was like, okay, all of them went to difficult moment of stress, of doubt with the business. Some of them had needed psychological help and support. We cannot say that it was easy life for entrepreneurs, but I'm working with entrepreneurs for 10 years, and I could observe and notice how much the strength of the entrepreneurial spirit is present and was present during all these periods. I mean, the DNA of entrepreneur was so powerful during this period. I mean, some of them were like almost excited. They were like, okay, yes, let's find new business. Okay, how can we do this? Okay, it was during the session, brainstorming and co-creativity with them was amazing. Because I think what you were saying, the empowerment, the women empowerment, but also I work with men, so global empowerment and global strength and proactivity and optimism that we can find in entrepreneur spirit was key during all this period to work and to do everything possible to find solution to survive the crisis. So I think the best combination was this entrepreneurship spirit and the co-creative coaching philosophy, because with both ingredients, we were able to think about a new perspective of the COVID and the pandemic. Yes, we have to face a lot of new long-term change in the society, but this change, we were looking for a way to look at these changes in a nice and positive way. New client expectation, new way of working, digitalization, of course, a lot of different aspects to rethink the model for entrepreneurs. And thanks to their spirit and strength and DNA of entrepreneurship, it was great. And as you said, the objective also, you mentioned this, a lot of entrepreneurs realize that it's not only making business, it's making business and have a positive impact on the society. Because now you said consumer are ready to pay 7% more for that, but also the entrepreneurs herself, want to create business with sense, with a real purpose behind that. So when we were working together, every day, it's how can we reinvent the model, the company we have with the changes of the society because of COVID, because I want to have a positive impact on my company, and because I have to change a lot of things which are now obsolete. Do you say obsolete in English? Yeah, because between obsolete? Yeah. Okay, between French, English, Spanish, sometimes I'm in a mix. So with everything, we have to reinvent everything. So to conclude, I would say that during the last months, it was not easy for the entrepreneur I work with. It was very challenging for me also sometimes to support them and to support everything. But it was like incredible, the energy, the power of the entrepreneurship spirit and the intellectual bubbling we had during session was so, I don't know, I would like to transmit you everything I could feel during this session. It was great for them. It's also still a challenge. Crisis is not over. We have to invent a lot of things, but thanks to the DNA of entrepreneurship, it's like very stimulating, and it's amazing how we can make changes and we can reinvent and create new things. So yes, to answer to your question, it was tough. It is still very complicated, but there is a lot of opportunity, and thanks to entrepreneurship spirit, we will make it.
I feel like I want to hire your services. I need to work with you.
You're welcome.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I don't know about you, but I feel I get these moments that we are in a room, we are speaking, we are here present physically, 6 in the afternoon. I don't know, but it's like crazy how life has changed, how lucky we are to be here, to keep talking, listening to these inspiring stories. Just checking in with everyone that we are very lucky to be here. So Maria Fatima, I loved how I was checking your LinkedIn bio, and I loved how you presented yourself. You know that some people in LinkedIn have an explained bio more than the explanation protocol LinkedIn. And I'm going to read to you for you to get an idea of what am I saying. You said that your goal is to democratize the use of computer simulation in the development of green chemistry, and your personal ambition is to help create highly qualified, stable jobs and promote gender equality. So I love how you put yourself into both goals, no? They're personal and professional. How can those be combined? No? So I would love to know, how have you navigated within those goals in this last year?
Yeah, thank you. Before any, oh, that's loud.
Yeah.
Thank you, all of you. I know many of you know each other for many years. For me, this is kind of the first, so I really appreciate that you found me, because I really want to get to know a lot of you, because you have impressive stories. I have maybe a different profile in the sense that I'm a scientist, and I've been a computational scientist for many years, which is a male-dominated world, as we know. And indeed, when you're talking about the value chain, we know that a lot of apps, a lot of software are developed by men, often for women, so it's all kind of already biased to start with. But sure enough, as a scientist, I've never really felt the gender issue. So I would read the stats. I was in a male-dominated field, but I never really felt it. I felt it in the company. And that's when I started thinking, okay, I need to change things. So Josie was saying before that, more in the past, maybe women, were expected to marry, and, that was their future. Well, I come from a Portuguese family, very poor, and my dad didn't get a chance to study, and he only had one ambition, which was to allow his kids to study. So he emigrated to France, to Brazil, to the United States, and at the end he chose Canada, because Canada is a country where, you get health care, you get education, it's all included. And we all, the four of us, so 4 kids, they immigrated in the 60s, and we all got the opportunity to study. And my whole life I heard from my dad, he's no longer here, but he always said, never depend on a man. And I took that seriously. So I have a wonderful husband, but I think we all have to be independent. So I entered the company, convinced, that, those were statistics, but they really didn't mean something, but they did. So I started going to meetings, and then suddenly I was surrounded by men. And I was the only woman in the meeting, and everyone making a decision was a man. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm working in biotechnology, So it's not even computer science anymore, it's biotechnology. So I'm like, there's something going wrong here, okay? So just for you to have an idea, I just realized a few days ago, because we did the math, we're 60% women right now. And that was surprising, okay, because it's a deep tech company. And when I actually was interviewing for the prize that you mentioned, the Women Innovators.
Congratulations.
Thank you. At some point, someone asked, how did you manage to get so many women on board? And I didn't know the answer, because we always hire the best person for the job. And I say this, and I repeat it, because I never want anyone to think that, that we have a team of women because I'm a feminist, okay? That's not the case. You were talking about branding. I realized, after that question, that because I got involved in so many activities promoting gender equality, I then started asking the candidates, because we were getting a ton of women applying, okay? And I started asking why. And some of them were willing to give up jobs in big companies and come to us, okay? And they said, because we see what you're trying to do. And they're willing to give up their big job, come to a startup, because they see that we're trying to change things, okay? So the last year has been very complicated. It has also been an opportunity, and I think many people have realized, especially entrepreneurs, because they're always looking for opportunity, right? So a crisis is always a chance for opportunity. We did have things that went to better, which is, I was in a plane every second week. And I'm trying to promote and democratize green chemistry, okay? So everything we have, from the blue in our jeans, the plastic, everything is produced through a chemical process, okay? So what we're trying to do is to produce things we need, through a biochemical process, which is clean and sustainable, okay? But then I started thinking, every 2 weeks I'm in a plane. Kind of contradicting myself, right? And then suddenly we can do business online. Most of my customers are everywhere in the world, so why do I have to be in a plane every second week to go meet a customer, okay? So things have changed in the last year. We have had difficulties, and you mentioned, for instance, mental health. We never talk about that, We talk about, my leg hurts, my stomach hurts, my head hurts. But being an entrepreneur is a really hard path. And I always say this to anyone. It's like the most impressive thing. I've learned more in the last 4 years than I did in my entire previous career. But it's also very difficult. So the last year has been even more difficult. But here we are trying things, and we do need to change the way we think. So it's not only the people that are trying to build a new world, it's also us as consumers. So if we want to keep on buying cheap things and throwing them in the garbage, that's a decision we can all make, okay? But we're trying to do biocatalysts to produce things we need. So we talk about the plastic issue. The plastic is everywhere. It's going to be very difficult to get rid of it. But if we can produce it and recycle it without needing, to take crude oil, then we have a solution. If instead of producing it in China or India or any other country where it's supposed to be cheaper, let's produce it here. Let's make sure that we buy things that have been produced locally. So what are we trying to do? Democratizing. So making it available to any chemical company. So the companies that do what we do normally only did biocatalysts for pharma. And pharma has a lot of money. And that's fine, okay? But we want to do green chemistry for the chemical industry, for biofuels, for any industry. So that's the democratizing. But we all have to chip in. So it's not just the companies, and companies are realizing, okay? Now companies have realized, pharmaceuticals have realized with the pandemic that we cannot outsource all our starting materials in India, because then you can't transport it, and then we don't have paracetamol. It's as simple as that. So let's get it back here. But we don't need to have the factories we had 50 years ago. We can have them clean. So we just need to rethink, but we need to rethink everything. And I insist really from the consumer point of view. I didn't realize the number that, if you mention in your brand or if you're committed to the society, you're adding something so people will be willing to pay more, that's how it should be. If you're doing something for society, you're giving back. And so, it costs money. Someone has to pay for it. So I get the point. I really get the point.
Oh, thank you. Super interesting.
Yes.
I think that, well, if we put together all the things, we definitely have a chance to make the most out of this crisis and change the paradigm in which we're living on. No? I think that the 2030 SDG goals, the United Nations Agenda for Development, is not only a pathway on how do we need to do things, but a roadmap of where do we need to go, no? And it inspires us to imagine how should the society look like in 10 years' time, no? When only these 30% of companies will exist. And I love how you are exploring actual industrial ways of how do we need to do that and how can we bring these into local territories, because it's the only way. If not, we're going to end up having lots of trouble if we don't have a regulation system that helps people to arrive safer into a country and arrive with better conditions. So first question I have, we'll do a bit of a discussion and then we will open for questions. So if you want to start thinking your question, we know there's the first one. Marie, the first question I have for you, and if you all have questions between yourselves, please just say it, and so that it's more fun discussion, is how can we collaborate with the cooperative that you are president of?
First of all, I think the best thing we can all make is fight for the immigrants' laws in Spain. I think the worst thing what can happen to us, because if you arrive in Spain or in other country, depending of each country, in France is another law, but in Spain particularly, it's like you have to wait 3 years before apply to have papers. In these 3 years, what you want me to do? You direct me, okay, you can enter, no? You are here, but you don't basically exist. It's like, what do I do in these 3 years? I have to do things. I have to live. I have to I have to eat, I have to to consume. In these 2 years, if you say me I don't exist, I don't have, I have zero opportunity to work legally, to pay imposts. I can't. If I want to, because the first time, no, I remember the first years I was making street selling.
Yeah.
Everyone, people come to me to say, you don't pay things, you don't need, and I was shocked. I was like, I want to pay these things. They say, I was like, I want to pay it. I go to my cousins, they say I don't pay that. I want to pay it because they are right. I have to pay that. And my cousin was, how do you pay it? You don't have purpose, like you don't exist. Even if you want, you can't make it. And I was like, oh, okay. I want to, because before I was in France studying laws and politics, and I want to convalidate my studies here, but they don't accept it too. You want to work legally, then don't accept you too. And we have to say, all this is because of the immigrants' laws Spain have. We have to change that for us to know is being in the same condition as Spain, because that is like, but to at least being here and like a humans, not like beasts, not like
Numbers.
see. We have to be here like humans. That.
Super, yeah. And I recommend you all to watch Salvados from yesterday.
Yeah.
That was made in collaboration with Por Causa, that is an NGO by a social entrepreneur, Gonzalo Fanjul, which is amazing. And it's one of the NGOs, or the top NGO, working to change the regulation on migration in Spain. Mm-hmm. And you should watch it, and you should follow Por Causa, because it's the best. But how can we, so is there a way that we can contribute to the UNCOP cooperative to be able to give more meals? Can we donate, or which is your network, the support network that you need?
Yeah, we work in different surveys, like we make foods. You can, if you have an event, you can make caterings.
Ah, great.
Okay, we have delicious food. We make.
Ah, wow.
We have created our own brand of clothes too, and like we said, Wendy, we work with we create our brands in like with all the things you have said, that we have make it sustainable. It's have to have an impact. It's not like making clothes before making clothes, like
a purpose.
Say a purpose. And this, taking this in mind, we create our own brand. We have all these.
So we can hire your catering, we can buy your clothes.
You can buy clothes.
Okay, the UNCOP cooperative.
Yeah, you can
check it out.
You can look at the webs. We have
great.
There's this field here, and we make different type of surveys. We think we always think it's not like assistantialism. It's like not like give you money. No, we make a service, and it's like a win-win between us, well, because all the consequences of all these things of the brands do, the big impact is not here. It's not only here in Europe, but it's in Southeast Asia, it's in Africa. And all these people have all their country like dead.
Suffocating.
Yeah. What you do want, if our money is not ours, our records, we produce clothes for Europe. nothing is ours in our country. And what do you want youth to do? You don't have opportunity in your own country. As the other countries tell you, here we have all, we eat good, we have superstar, we have all these buildings into all the buildings. Okay, we go. And no, I come here is better. And when you want to come, it's like, no, don't come here. And we say that 90% of the person who come in Africa to here, 90% are dead. Just arrive 10%. And when there's 10%, arrive, you have an massive immigration. That is 10%. 90% that are in the deep in the sea. Their family cannot mourn them. It's like they don't know where they are. It's a win-win. I think, yeah, the time is we are here. We have to make like a win-win solution for everyone. I think
We need empathy, no? We were saying the other day in my family that there was such a big amount of press for the death of this horrible death of these two girls by her parent, by her father. And we were saying, how can we not see that it's the same that happens in the sea, in the Mediterranean Sea, every day? How come with that, in an instant, all streets get full of people and we don't mobilize the same resources for things that are happening in our coast by our legislators every single day?
yeah. It's like you say, we have against the abortion of women, and all the deaths doesn't count because basically most of person doesn't see us as person, as human. I think the country of derechos humanos,
Derechos humanos, human rights.
human rights, and I never have. Every time I was in my country, I always eat, but in the country of human rights, I make here like two weeks, and I don't eat. I never have a restriction of my right in my country, and I have always and any time here in the country of human rights, this restriction of my rights.
Yeah.
That is the problem I fix.
Thank you, Marie,
Thank you.
for explaining yourself so well. And now connecting with mental health that you're saying, no? Because I see that you, Maria Fatima, were mentioning it. And last week I watched a show, and again it's a moment of advertising, Salvados, but to share resources, no? Sharing is caring. There's a show that it's called The Me You Cannot See, that is produced by Oprah and by Prince Harry. That is the best documentary you're going to see on mental health, and to be able to empathize better on from a refugee, Syrian refugee, 9-year-old, to Prince Harry, no? So how can we empathize better to mental health and to understand that we all need to work on our mental health to be able to support better the different life experiences that we find each other's in, whether it's moving from another country or crossing the Mediterranean Sea or starting a company or finding new ways to create more ecological and sustainable textiles. But I don't know, maybe there was a question for you, Gemma, and maybe I'll swap mine to yours. No, because then we open, because we took a bit of time, so we can open the following up. So feel free to ask your question.
I just wondered if men are creating all the marketing material and we don't like it, what don't we like about it? Is it because it's coming from a male-generated perspective? Is that what's so wrong? Are they being machista, or what is it that we need to unite and say we're not buying from this company because they treat us like we're supposed to be perfect? Like, I'm just wondering, what do we hate so much about these things?
Well, I don't know if hate is the word,
Oh,
but
well, I hate
okay. We don't, as a consumers, we don't know who is behind the brand. We do. I mean, it's quite an impulsive action, shopping sometimes. So we don't really know who is behind the brand. But what we have analyzed, and what really is studies that show that, is that we don't like when they treat us patronizing, when they don't use female images, for instance, on a commercial, things like this. Why the off voice has to be a male voice? Sorry, you have to explain me how to do things. Things like that. But those can be like superficial things. But then when you scratch and you go deeper, you may see that maybe when I don't know, the way they explain things are not using the words we prefer. Maybe the way they do the advertising, which is more aspirational, not inspirational. This is a big difference. When you see advertising like directive creators are men, which are all of them, because only 7%, another data, only 7% of the creative directors in advertising agencies are women, only 7%, okay? So the majority of things are created, are thought and created by men in the advertising business. The advertising way, they still do this. I teach in Bellaterra, and they still do that. Advertising, they say, and I say, please, this is not true anymore, but they still do it, okay? Please change it. Advertising is aspirational, okay? So if you do this, you will get that. It's not aspirational anymore. It has to be inspirational. It has to inspire me to do something better, to be better at something too. And we women, men, I'm sure men as well, but women for sure, we are more inspirational than aspirational. So things like that, at the very end, what you get, you don't connect with that. You don't like it. I don't know if it was clear that, yes?
I think, and I thought of two examples that came to my mind. For example, Nike did the first pregnant women's sport collection last year.
Yes, imagine. Yes,
Last
imagine.
year.
Like,
Or Apple Watch came, or Apple Health thing came with all the features on how to calculate your health, and they forgot about period tracking.
yes, like please.
And it's like calories and everything surround body temperature, and we don't menstruate. Like, so I think there's a thing on how you going back to empathy, how you empathize better with who you have in front of you. No? Whether that's a broad question, but thank you for your question. I think it's very interesting to
can
question.
I just add something,
please.
Anna, please, because
Yes.
thank you, Victor, not only for organizing it and for really, in a way, sponsoring it, for being here, and I know a little bit how you are, and you are always backing up women things. And I think we need champions like Victor, and we need, really, I do think, yes, because the whole movement, and you too, I don't know your name, but thank you for being here, yes. You, Dexter, your name is Dexter? Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you for, because the whole movement we are in, the feminism, or I don't know which word you want to use, I just love the word feminism because it's positive. It's positive, something that goes to freedom, equality, and
It's inclusive.
Inclusivity. I mean, it's positive. So this movement, this movement that has arrived to stay. We need them. We need you. We need men, because it's a all together thing. It's not a thing. A women thing. Let's go. No, come on. It's all of us. It's a everyone thing. So we really need Victors and Dexters, and really, because it's not our thing. It's the whole society.
But particularly, and going back to what Marie said, on humans, that we are going to a non-binary society, a non-polarized society where everything is going to be more fluid, and we need to be considered more people, humans. So in that case, everyone has to be involved in solutions, whether it's creating an event or changing the legislations for how migrants arrive in Spain. So I don't know if we have more questions, other topics. Someone, should I go with my questions? Someone dares? We have a few more. We are 6 minutes away of the time that we... Yeah, go for it.
Well, actually, I'm fascinated by the discussions that you guys are having here and the value of the I guess, different consignments where you come from. I like nerds. Nerds are mine. These are my people.
That's the sexy word now, nerd. You're a nerd, yeah.
How have you found Barcelona in terms of its welcomeness and it's a very proud city to support women? Have you found that what the rhetoric is, does it match in real life?
I think it does, but it's not only supporting women, it's supporting science, supporting immigrants. I'm also an immigrant, so I've been here since 2008, and I don't plan to go anywhere, actually. I created the company, I created the company because I wanted to stay here. So I've really never felt discrimination here, and I do feel that a lot of mechanisms are there to support women. To be totally honest, where I've seen most differences, for instance, hasn't been in the south of Europe. Because in the south of Europe, women actually need to work to sustain the family. And sure enough, countries that often, are in theory taught to be more equal, promote or favor the woman staying at home to take care of the family. So often more northern countries, where indeed there are a lot of equal opportunities, you often see more men in power positions. So I've never, it's very surprising, and to be totally honest, I think I was very naive until I was about 40. Going out there into the world, you suddenly realize that it's a different world from the one you imagined. So Barcelona, nothing to say. I was here in this house, Barcelona.cat, for months. I was a scientist. I had no idea about business. I had never thought about creating a company. I did because I needed to. So because I wanted to be here. Okay, so full support. I could learn everything, and then you have fantastic business schools here. So you have everything you need to create your business, and you have all the possible support. And talking about mental health, I do have the support from good professionals that understand the needs of women, and that are able, for instance, to tell you the way you lead a business is maybe different from the standard because you're a woman. And every time you go to an advisor and they seem to think differently, consider that maybe it's because they're a man, because maybe your way of managing and leadership is different. So don't feel bad because maybe you take longer to make decisions, because that's your way. And maybe it's a more feminine way. I don't know. I'm learning all this on, as I go. But it's very important. We tend, to think that the way it's been done is the right way. And I think it's time to,
Absolutely.
move things around. And
So yeah, definitely paradigm is changing, and we have this opportunity, as you were saying, and Laura, to reshape and recreate now, crisis opportunities now. So if each and any one of you has still thought of building, creating, starting something, whether it is sharing food in your neighborhood to starting a biotech company, do it, because now it's the time. And you're in the right place actually to do so, and there's opportunities.
you can say.
Yeah, I would like to, you were talking about the difference between men or women, the way to, as business coach, I was thinking about that. I was thinking, do I think differences between entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs or men entrepreneurs? The way I work with them, the entrepreneurship spirit I was talking about, I would say no difference. I would say, I couldn't say there is this guy or this woman or was more powerful or was more strong in front of the pandemic. I think it's more about the values of everyone than the gender of each entrepreneur. It was like, from my point of view, with the entrepreneurs I'm working with, it's question of entrepreneurship more than question of gender.
Yeah, yeah. Probably it applies more at the type of leadership
Yeah.
with its employees, or at the way they create value, or the way they employ. Maybe in there's more cultural, because of structural bias that we have been brought up with. No.
There is maybe more differences in the way you manage people
Yeah.
than in the entrepreneurship
Nature.
spirit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't want to be pessimistic, but until you have kids, it does change. It does change. I don't know if your entrepreneurs are 25 or 39 or
25 until 80.
Baby. Okay, but when you have kids, things change.
It's difficult.
Even if the
I
company
think-
is yours. Yeah.
I love this debate.
I worked in multinational in companies, and it was really difficult to have kids. When I noticed the difference, I was working on marketing.
Everything changes when you have kids.
It was different when I had kids, without kids or with kids. But I'm talking about the entrepreneurship spirit.
Yes, the
I'm talking
spirit,
about
of
that.
course,
The spirit is the same. We cannot say a man is stronger than a woman. I couldn't make this kind of conclusion. I would say that the entrepreneurship is so strong when you feel entrepreneurs.
Actually, it's not. I don't want to be biased, but it's not because we women, you can decide not to have kids. Okay, you don't have to have kids, no problem. But if you have, I think it goes in favor of you, because you have to manage so many things, and you have to empathize all the time. You have to negotiate everything from 7 a.m. So that it helps you to be a better entrepreneur, I think. So it's a good thing too.
And I would recommend to end and try to close in another one of these advertising cultural that I've been doing. There's a book from an entrepreneur woman from Barcelona that is called Elena Guardans.
I just read it last weekend. Yes. Yes.
And she wrote this book called What I Learned from My Kids That They Didn't Taught Me in Business School. So every chapter is an episode of something that happened with her children when they were small, and then she applied what she learned with her 3-year-old boy into a meeting with some of its employees. They didn't know, but she knew that she was applying the same techniques. And in the book she explains this, and it's a wonderful way of seeing how being a mother applies to very well to being an entrepreneur or being a leader in a company, no? Or a team player, maybe, probably that applies too. So thank you very much. I don't know if in the public there is some more questions, someone that is craving. Josie? Not great. Thank you very much.
I was just going to say thank you very much, ladies, for so many insights. And with the things you said, now I think it's time to go to... No, wait a minute.